Heiliger for your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the people of the territory. Good afternoon to the testifiers, especially the lady that's being honored today. You know, we have a lot of great Almas around, so I all for that. I was here sitting down giggling. I said, well, you know, Earl B. Atley was married to Alma too, so remember that. But at the end of the day, I always heard about you, and I always heard about how you ran the finance department in a way that was unparalleled to none. And when I was hearing this was coming up, I said, Lord, how we could clone Bernice, Miss Turnbull. We need to clone her to get her back in finance. Because if we could do that, that hearing we had on Friday might not have happened. And I'm just being honest. And when you have a territory that has the fortune of generating money as well as getting federal funds, and we're here questioning how we gonna get pittance, something is wrong. And I applaud people like you that stood firm and made sure and did your due diligence to make sure the finances of this territory had checks, had balances, and most importantly, you followed the law of the land. And that is what I appreciate you for. And at the end of the day, when we come before this body and we say we want to honor Virgin Islanders, you are well deserving of this honor. And when I listened to all the individuals speak about you, I smiled and I thought about, you know, the connection through family and friendships and work. And I said, across the board, whatever the connection was, everybody's talking highly of you. It didn't matter what it was. And if we have more people like that, not only in our society, but even our government, I think we would be further along. And I chuckled when Mr. Mills made his comment basically about respect, because sometimes while I'm in here dealing with the eye rolling and the suck teeth, it's very interesting to deal with. And sometimes when you are reacting to it, the public don't see it. But you're questioning, like, maybe if they had a different approach, maybe we would get things done a little bit better. And I agree with you 100% on that statement. Because some things come across combative when you just really want to work together to serve the public. And when you, Ms. Bernice, came across with a firm hand, dedicated, determined, and still got the job done, a lot of people don't have that capability. And that's a beautiful thing. And, you know, if from one Alma to the next, I greatly appreciate it. And if I could just have some qualities, because, you know, my firmness sometimes get, said, you know, she a little aggressive. But it's not that you're being aggressive sometimes. Sometimes you just want to get the job done because you so want the people to be okay. You so want the people in this territory to have better. And sometimes we have to fight a little bit harder to get it executed. And when I saw people like you getting it done so balanced, I'm proud to say that I am a Virgin Islander, and you were one of them that helped brought us here to where we are today. And I would like to say thank you.
You're welcome.
So on that note, I heard time, and I will definitely be voting in the affirmative.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the people of the territory, to the testifiers. Just a quick question along the lines of the complaint as it relates to Liberty. I'll give you just one sample dealing with myself. Yesterday I had, as I was attempting to come up here to the Senate floor, I had an emergency. I had this emergency. I got a call, and in trying to call back, I'm in panic mode because I'm trying to dial out, and I hear nothing. That happened 5, 6, 7 times till I got into my office and got to a landline to die aloud. And all I kept thinking is this could have been a matter of life and death. And I don't think people understand that the level of frustration this Liberty situation is wreaking havoc in this community. In speaking to one person yesterday, they informed me that they completely just gave up and switched over to another company. They just gave up. So as we discuss this a little bit further tomorrow, I am looking forward to really understanding what these major issues are. But what I want to ask is, what happens if the waste management doesn't pay? What are the plans, or how do you plan to deal with that if they're just not paying?
So, first of all, what happens if waste management does not pay its assessment? It reduces the capacity and capability for the Public Services Commission to function and operate. That operation is not just borne on the Waste Management Authority alone. It impacts the regulatory impact that we have on all of the utilities. Because the Public Services Commission rely on each utility being able to pay its assessment for operations. Staffing is affected and impacted when we do not receive the assessments that are due by law, by statute. It does not just impact the capacity for the PSC necessarily to regulate the Waste Management Authority alone, which we still have a mandate to complete under the statute, and which we will carry out.
But you can't do it as effectively if you're
can't.
not getting the finances in.
We can't do it as effectively. We can't regulate the Waste Management Authority as effectively, but we also can't manage any of the other utilities as effectively as we should as well.
That's a serious issue.
So the impact is
great.
Definitely, yeah.
My other question I wanted to ask, of all the complaints that you hear from consumers and residents, what is at the top of the list that people come in and have the greatest issue with coming to the PSC?
That's I think across the board, we have disputes and grievances regarding the Water and Power Authority, of course, our telecommunication customers as well. We do have complaints regarding ferry services between St. Thomas and St. John, albeit each of the utility weigh differently, depending on what the issues are at the time with each of those utilities. But I would say that the larger percentage of complaints that we receive are with the Water and Power Authority as well as our telecommunication customers.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about the Water and Power Authority. We have a lot of back and forth with them in trying to restructure things, and we did pass laws to give a lot more teeth to the Public Service Commission. One of the things my colleague was speaking about had to do with the decrease in customers. And in hearing some of the complaints, and I heard the Attorney Springer, when he was sharing the numbers of what they're realizing, the decrease of WAPA, if you are a customer and you're constantly complaining to the Public Service Commission and you're not seeing any real relief, do you anticipate or think that people would stay with WAPA or try to figure out an alternative? Because at the end of the day, a lot of these things are business related. And if this agency, for me, is my last resort, and I keep coming, and I'm not really getting any resolve, what options do you think that businesses really would have? Because their goal is to stay in business. And if you have a utility, could I wrap up, Madam Chair?
You may proceed,
If you
Senator.
have a utility that's eating up, say, 50% of your profits, your thought process is to survive. So what do you think from a standpoint of dealing with WAPA and these complaints that ultimately can be done? Because I can't really be upset with a business that has to leave the grid in order for their survival. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
Okay, so in terms of the our regulatory responsibilities, we have responsibility over both customer service and rates. I'm confident in saying that our customer service complaints and issues that the majority of our customers deal with are complaints that are resolved.
Okay.
Most complaints are resolved within a very short period of time. We have some that are a little lengthy, but we continue to work on those. So I would say that our success rate, so far as quality of service is concerned, is pretty high. Now, we also have authority, of course, over rates, which are a bit more, difficult for us to resolve.
Okay.
Again, we don't necessarily have a position on what avenue a customer will take. We do encourage customers to continue on the grid, even if customers determine that their best solution for whether it's their residential account or the business account, whether it's best for them to include alternative energy.
Okay.
We're 100% for that, but we do not encourage.
So it's like a hybrid. They do some and combine the two.
Exactly.
Okay, I could see that. Well, thank you for your responses. My time was called. If we have a second round, I'll go ahead with some other questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair. As I sat here and listened to the conversation about waste management, I remember when it was created in these halls. And as a senator to this day, I still question a lot of things that was said back then. Waste management at some point was supposed to be able to stand on its own, and it has not happened at all. And that continues to be a major part of the problem. And even myself, when other previous governors were talking about potentially putting it back and basically getting rid of it, I questioned it and I wanted to know, could it be done? They shared with us that because of federal reasons, in the way some federal funds go through waste management, that's why it had to stay the way it is. But I think certain aspects of it could be stripped away, put back under Public Works, and reduce the size of it, because I don't think it's functioning the way that it should be. But my final question quickly is this. We had an Inspector General report specifically on VTOL that came out. Does the Public Service Commission look at reports such as that, because their goal is to look out for the consumer? Do you guys look at reports such as that and identify some of the major issues that were pointed out in that Inspector General report and basically engage with WAPA to see what things were changed or improved upon to make sure that the services and rates and different things provided to consumers are improved upon in some way? Because that report was very scathing. And do you guys look at those types of reports to see how you could create some type of improvement by dealing with WAPA, challenging them, questioning them, to find out how some of these things could be improved upon or resolved, so ultimately the benefit goes to the consumer?
To answer the question, the Public Services Commission take a look at all reports, all matters regarding all of the utilities that are regulated by us. The commission members review all of these reports, as well as staff reports from PSC staff. I would suffice to say that many of the matters, issues, and items within the Inspector General report, or many of the other reports that come out regarding WAPA and all of the utilities, I would suffice to say that the Public Services Commission, prior to such reporting coming out, have in fact addressed many of the issues cited within those reports. And they're on public record over the years. Attorney Sprain?
Yes, Boyd Sprain. I would like to know.
Sharing that with the public. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Francis.